Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
Today, we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a video about throwing darts, a book about dragons visiting the Sea Wing Kingdom, and we have a totally awesome guest. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Julien RoudebushGuest.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Julien is a DJ based in the UK.
Yeah, been DJing for just over 5 years now, and producing for about 2 as well. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Well,
No,
today,
thanks.
we're going to start off with the video game of the week, and this is going to be a dart throw.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Today's video game is Dart Simulator. This game is made by Motley Studios. Because it's on Roblox, you are able to play it on PC, Mac, Xbox, and even your cell phone. And it is free.
Free games are the best.
You may remember Motley Studios from their other games, Ducky Simulator and Ducky Heroes.
Both very, very good games. Very fun.
So first off, you appear at a large open hallway with lots of balloons all around. There are no instructions, but you walk up to a balloon and pop it. Each balloon is attached to either coins or gems, or both.
Ooh, okay. More points for both? Nice.
When you pop the balloon with your dart, you get the gems or the coins. So this is a lot like pet simulators, except you do the attacking. So as always, there are some bonuses and things to upgrade. So now you can use coins to upgrade your dart so it does some more damage, and you can use the gems to purchase pets that don't fight for you. But those pets will give you a multiplier for damage and resources gathered. So they are very, very important.
Yeah, you got to get everything in game to be able to win it, because otherwise you just won't have what's necessary to be able to go up.
That's true. And now they have unlockable zones like desert, candy, toy, and all so forth, all the way to the samurai area. Each are costing coins and experience before you can enter. They have a teleport feature, and it's free. There are upgrades that you can buy with real money, but they are not pushed on you, which is good.
Yeah, it's always good when they don't push it. Which one's your favorite? Do you have any preference, or do you just find that every single one is
The candy.
good in some way? Candy? Nice.
Candy. Sanjo Secrets. I give Build a Dart Simulator 9 out of 10 stars because I really enjoy that you got to do the attacking, and it was fun getting my dad to try it. We are still neck and level, and the key is finding a large, strong balloon so you can attack it for a long time and not having to keep changing your target.
Yeah, that'd be very, very useful, because changing targets, that means more work for you. You just want it to be as automated as possible, really.
And now it's time for the book of the week, Wings of Fire, The Lost Hair. This book is written by T. Sutherland. Let me read the back of the book. In fact, Julien, would you like to do the honors?
Yes, of course. She can't believe it's finally happening. Tsunami and her fellow dragonettes of destiny are journeying under the water to the great Sea Wing Kingdom. Stolen as an egg from the royal hatchery, Tsunami is eager to meet her future subjects and reunite with her mother, Queen Coral. But Tsunami's return to the home she never knew doesn't go quite the way she had always imagined.
Well, this is an AR book that's worth 10 whole points. That's a lot of points. And it's rated for 5th grade in the first month. So this is the second book of the series, and if you remember, the 5 heroes removed Queen Scarlet from power, and they are going to the Sea Wing Kingdom to meet Tsunami's mom. On the way, they did have to battle a scout from the Skywing Kingdom, and they are successful. Queen Coral from the Sea Wing welcomes Tsunami with open wings and puts all of her friends in captivity. They were stuck in a cave. Well, it turns out that there's an assassin that's been stealing more eggs from Queen Coral. So all of the hairs of the queen are dying. Tsunami was on guard duty to protect the eggs. Most of the eggs are destroyed, and that means that Tsunami, the lost hair, and that puts a target on her back. The assassin attacks Tsunami, and she's injured in her gills because she's a sea wing. That's not good at all.
Nope.
She
Sounds like it
wants to
hurts.
get her friends out of captivity and find a safe place to go.
Yeah, that sounds like I'd want to do the same thing if I were in her position. Would not want to be chased by an assassin like that.
Yeah. I think if you love dragons, then you should really read this series.
I mean, who doesn't like a good dragon? You get dragons all over the place, and they're really fun.
Well, I give Wings of Fire, The Lost Terror, 11 out of 10 stars because I really enjoy when the 5 heroes use their talents in different ways to hide from the scout dragon.
Wow, that sounds like a really, really, really good story there. If
And
it's
then
got an
Tsunami
11 out of 10.
killed him.
Nice.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties. Contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
And now it's time for our interview of an interesting person. Today's guest is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Julien RoudebushGuest.
Hey, hi.
What's up?
Still me. Yeah, not bad, thanks. How are you?
Pretty good. Well, Julien is a DJ based in the UK, and they call him DJ Julien.
Yeah, that's me. Been DJing for about 5 years and producing for about 2 as well. And
Nice.
yeah, it's going well.
So first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
I'm really enjoying it. It's my first ever radio show, so thank you very much for having me on for this. And yeah, it's really fun speaking with you guys and just to be here, really.
Okay, so to start off, what gave you the idea to become a DJ?
Well, it's a funny question because I fell into it by accident. I've always listened to a lot of music, but I was raised on country music, classical music, and pop. Transitioned more into hip hop and rap as I got a bit older. And then one day I was just in my room doing reading, and ended up coming across an article saying that Marshmello was a DJ. I'd heard of Marshmello thinking that, okay, he makes music, that's cool. But I never realized that a lot of these people like Marshmello were DJs as well. Looked more deeply into it, found that the same thing applies to David Guetta, Armin van Buuren, Tiesto, and thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. Gave it a go, and then never looked back.
Nice.
And haven't stopped.
So when did you get started?
I started on the 28th of December 2017, if I recall correctly. No, 2016, sorry. Might help to actually get my years right. But yeah, and then a year of bedroom DJing, and about that time the next year I had my first gig. So
Nice.
yeah.
Well, does it take a
Thank you.
lot of training to be a DJ?
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many people out there who try DJing and just stop. The average amount of time it takes someone to stop DJing after buying their first set of decks is about 6 months, which is very, very short considering that a beginner mixer will cost you about $250 at least. So yeah, and then DJing well is very difficult as well. There are very many DJs that DJ in nightclubs sometimes who are just absolutely dreadful, which is sad to say, but you do find quite a lot of that. But yeah.
Well, did it cost a lot to get the equipment?
Yeah, my first mixer cost about £200, which is not cheap at all, obviously. But obviously, on top of that, you need a computer for that, and the cost of the music itself. That all accumulates. So that was quite tough at the beginning, especially. But as you do it more and more, you learn where to find music which is put up legally for free, where people have made remixes and bootlegs, and where people have just been kind enough to release songs for free. And then you make friends in the industry who send you the music that they make so that you don't have to buy it. So it's free promotion both ways.
Yeah. It's really nice.
Yeah,
So is being a DJ a good business to be in?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's a difficult business because it's got a lot of dark sides which people tend not to like to address. Sides which can be quite difficult to deal with, especially when you don't really expect it. And things like even just getting off stage. Where when I get off stage, half the time I'm literally like this afterwards because of adrenaline. And then there comes a point where you find that there's a very big difference between being with one person afterwards or on your own afterwards when you've just come off a stage with 150, 200 people or even more.
Mhm.
Just things like that.
Mhm. So, what was the coolest thing that you learned while doing this job?
Coolest thing I learned about doing this job. That's a tough question. There have been quite a lot of cool stuff, or cool things I've learned. Um, I've learned a lot about business. I've learned a lot about networking, how to deal with people, how to interact with people, and also just making friends for life while doing this. For instance, Joe, who you interviewed, I think about a year or two ago now, JLB, he's a really good friend I made through this. And I've been taken under the wing of another DJ and producer in Israel called Guard Lion, who has really helped me up my game, especially in producing and on the business side of stuff. And he's another friend for life, really, with that. Then multiple others, like too many to mention, including like Ears Quaker, Renoise, all sorts of guys that are just awesome people to meet and to be friends with and to work with, really.
Mhm. So, what is the biggest difference between the types of music that you play?
Well, I can technically DJ anything between 70 BPM and 666 BPM, which is quite a range. But I specialize in hard dance music, which is generally between 140 to 220 BPM is where I sort of cut off usually. But so that already in itself is quite a big range, but it just depends on what I'm looking to do. But like with many DJs, I started off with house music and pretty much just went up really to higher and higher energy until I found something that I enjoy.
Mhm. So, I know a lot about BPM, which is beats per minute, and I
Yes.
think it really makes a difference. But do you think it makes a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm playing a house music set, which is for people that don't know, like sort of like generic club vibes, usually the sort of stuff you'd hear on the radio. It's fun to play. It's got a time and place, but it's very different to if you're trying to make people expend all of their energy and just go crazy, or if you want to start doing some more sort of cool stuff. Um, and it's about playing to the crowd, really. Like I've got another friend guy who goes by Cunty Beats, who's very good at this sort of stuff. He specializes in house music, but then also does stuff which is a lot faster, going closer to 160 BPM, including collaboration we're working on right now, actually.
So, what is the best part about working as a DJ?
Best part about working as a DJ just is the ability to bring joy to so many people when you play. There's no feeling like being on stage. It's a euphoric feeling, really, and when you're there and you're doing it, there's nothing that I've ever experienced, at least, that comes even close to matching the feeling. And then when you receive messages afterwards, for instance, from people saying this was the best set of the night, or saying that, oh, this is a great job there, come see this person,
Mhm.
it's really gratifying, and it's something which I just want to keep on doing to bring as much joy to people as possible with it.
Mhm. So, how did you find stations that would air your mixes?
Um, just pretty much being contacted by some, going in and contacting others. During the start of COVID, since I knew that nightclubs are going to be closed, and nightclubs are obviously where I generally be playing, I decided to do a weekly mix session on my Mixcloud page, where every week I'd stick up a 1 hour mix of just anything I wanted. I started doing collaborations with it, and it's finally started taking off now, which is really cool for me. This as of time of recording this show, I have just spent 9 weeks in a row getting #1 in the world in various charts, and currently have a mix which is also 3rd in the UK overall and 24th in the world for every mix put out over the last week.
Nice.
Which, yeah, it still blows my mind.
So can you find some stations that would air my show?
I mean, I could always try. I'll give it a go. I do know some other people for radio stations, and yeah, I can definitely do that.
So how long does it take to make a good mix?
Well, it depends on what you want to do. There are some people who, when they make a mix, go and create a set track list, go in and follow that to a T. That, if you're going to do that, takes preparation, so that adds to the time. I personally do not do that. I'd rather stay versatile and be able to play to the crowd, because sometimes you'll get it where you play a couple of songs and all of a sudden no reaction. So you need to adapt, because if you don't adapt, then you're dead in the water. So if you do like what I do, it takes the hours upon hours upon hours of practice beforehand, but then once you get good enough, you can pump out a professional mix like that every single time. And so it makes it a lot easier for you.
So do you have a setup in your studio and record it as video?
Yes, I've started doing video again. I used to do video for a radio station I used to be a part of, but have mostly gone audio for the last yearish roughly. But now I'm bringing the video back into it to create more content for my YouTube channel. So my setup is just a webcam, the ring light I'm also using today, a DJ mixer, which is DDJ 1000, also a sound cards, and then just my laptop, and probably the most important but underrated thing, ear protectors. I always protect my ears, which is something a lot of people don't do, but yeah, it's necessary.
Yeah, it's true. Well, did you ever have a mix set just go completely wrong?
Oh yeah, that happens every once in a while. Luckily, it hasn't really happened to me live before, and when things haven't been going to plan, I've always been able to adapt to do better and save it from being a disaster. But just recording stuff for my weekly mixes or radio sessions, I've had stuff go horribly wrong and just had to go, you know what, stop and start again.
So what was the best mix that you are most proud of?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one, because I think back to my first mix, which reached #3 in the world for hardstyle, and think of that with a lot of nostalgia, because that was one of my favorite mixes at the time that I'd ever made. But also, like, all the collaborations I've done have been really fun, and just recently, because I took a slight break from my weekly mixes for a couple of weeks and then came back to it. And it's since I came back that I started getting the success I'm starting to get now. And I think it's because I just took a step back and started just doing what I wanted and just enjoying it more than thinking of it more of a job as a job, just doing it as still a job, but more, I'm going to have fun with this.
So what is the one thing that you want my listeners to know about what it's like to be a DJ?
It's really cool, but if you enter the DJ life, you got to be careful. You got to make sure you know what you're getting into before you get into it. And it can be the best experience that has ever happened to you and that ever will happen to you, as long as you make sure that you keep your head in place.
What's the hardest part about working as a DJ?
Hardest part, I'd say there are probably two hardest parts. The first one is getting gigs and networking. I'm naturally quite introverted, so it's forced me to have to come out of my shell a lot more and have to network and communicate with people and be like, hi, I DJ, would you like to work with me? Which not everyone is always up for, and facing rejection as a result of that. But the other hardest part is just trying to when people give you offers they that they think you won't refuse, and you end up refusing them because they're not good offers. Sometimes having to deal with those can be very difficult.
So if you could think of one thing that would make your job easier, what would it be?
One thing that would make the job easier, having a lot of promoters that are very open-minded about what they play and not wanting to play exactly the same stuff as everybody else. Because in the UK, at least, around where I am, people tend to play either house or drum and bass, both of which are absolutely fine music styles in their own right. But it sometimes gets to a point where every single club is indiscernible from the others. And then if something is kind of working, a lot of people are scared of taking a chance on someone and just going for something new. But recently, when they have been taking chances and trying new genres, it's been going really well. So yeah, that's probably it.
So what is the greatest challenge that most DJs are dealing with today?
Greatest challenge most DJs are dealing with, probably just the sheer volume of DJs that there are now. And while it's great that there are so many DJs coming out, obviously it creates more competition, but the DJing industry is a very collaborative industry. You get a lot of people who are willing to help. And that's something which is also unique in the DJing industry. You don't really get that in very many other circles, where pretty much you can message someone and that person will be willing to help. But of course, it's a friendly competition, but it still is competition. So it's about showing that you deserve a spot better than someone else, but then also being willing to help that other person if that person needs help. So that's probably the one.
So what is the craziest situation that you've run into while doing your work?
Yeah, trying to find one that is appropriate for a kids show is going to be quite difficult. But yeah, you do get some crazy stories from when traveling around a little bit and having living with people, obviously temporarily, who make some funny decisions can be quite the experience sometimes. And yeah, it's stuff that you look back on and just sort of smile and go, wow, okay, that was quite something.
So what advice would you give to my listeners if they wanted to grow up and be a DJ?
My advice is do it. Like, there's nothing holding you back, and give it a go. There are plenty of places where you don't need to buy equipment, which getting equipment is probably the most inaccessible thing. And just, if in doubt, go up to a DJ that is already established or that's up and coming and just ask for advice and ask for help. And 9 times out of 10, that person will help.
Well, I'm on a radio show and podcast that talks about God during Line Strong segment. How do you include God's message in your work?
I mean, I don't really think about that when doing my work, I gotta say. I just try to spread as much joy as I can through it and just have fun, because when people go out and go into clubs or festivals and stuff, most of the time it's to try and expend their energy and try to get away from challenges they've been having and try to just enjoy themselves, which for a lot of people, especially in the world now, can be very difficult. So that's just what I try to do, try and give these people a release to have the best time they could possibly have.
So who will help motivate or inspire you the most in following your dreams?
Ooh, that's a tough one. For always having my back, my parents have always had my back with this. And as I said before, with my mentor, Gardline, he's been with me since pretty much day one with this. Well, definitely since year one, and he's always helped me a lot with that. And also the girlfriend I have right now is helping me really get a lot better. And I don't think I'd be having the success that I'm having now without her as well.
So what message do you want to tell children all over the world about being a DJ?
It's a great thing to do. It's great to spread joy and happiness for people, and it's it's always there are good lessons to take from it as well, from the collaborative standpoint of be willing to help others who are not as established as you or who might be struggling with something, because some you never know, that person might end up one day being someone who helps you out as well. And it's always better to make friends and enemies, and to be kind rather than unkind. So it just following those lessons that you get from the DJ industry is very good to do.
Well, if you could go back 10 years and tell yourself something, what would it be?
10 years and tell myself something. Probably to get into this crazy business before I did. Probably telling myself to look more at DJing at an earlier age than when I did at about 14 years old.
So what was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
Ooh, biggest mistake I ever made for DJing there would probably have been trying to put too much onto my plate at once and neglecting the production side in order to do more to like actual DJing itself, because I can DJ. I know I can DJ, but as a result, I've lost about a year's worth of production skill that I would otherwise have had, and which I'm now starting to pay for a little bit, and I'm at a point where my production needs to catch up quite a bit. So probably just neglecting that for too long.
So when you're not working as a DJ, what do you do for fun?
I listen to a lot of music. As it's probably not too surprising, but for instance, I'm a massive metalhead. I listen to a lot of rap and hip hop as well. I'm also quite an avid baseball player. I've been playing baseball for the last 10 years, and I do that to have fun as well.
So do you play video games? And if you do, what's your favorite one?
I haven't had time to play video games in quite a while, but whenever I do play, I tend to play either something like Halo or Call of Duty, or something quite funny like FIFA 13 or like Lego video games, just because they're fun.
Well, do you play them on your phone?
No, I play them on Xbox actually. Not an Xbox One, but an Xbox 360.
I mean, do you play games on your phone?
Not very often. Probably the closest thing to a game that I do on Duolingo, aside from like social media work, is Duolingo.
Is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
Just that I'm out here just trying to do my own thing, trying to have fun along the way, trying to just spread as much joy as I can really with what I do, and give people the outlet to have fun in times which are pretty difficult. And it's turbulent times out there in the world. It would be a big scary place, but that's my job, to bring people together through music and give people the opportunity they deserve to relax and have fun, and to escape the world, escape their problems, and just.
Well, do you have a Facebook or Instagram that my listeners will follow you?
Yeah, my Facebook is the same as my name that's on the screen right now. My Instagram is exactly the same tag as I have for all of my other social medias. It is at Julien Does Music. Julien spelled the way it is on the screen. No spaces, no points or anything, just Julien Does Music. You can find me on Instagram, Mixcloud, Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, of course, yes, SoundCloud. Pretty much whatever it is, you can find me.
I love SoundCloud. Like,
yeah,
best thing ever.
Yeah, definitely. It's given me a lot of music.
So what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
One question that you forgot to ask. Probably, what is it that most people misinterpret about the DJ industry?
Well,
Because,
what is it?
yeah, well, a lot of people think that it's a very sort of like, to be stereotypical, just white male sort of industry, when it's a lot more than that. You see it a lot more now. It's a lot more inclusive than people tend to realize. And the same thing sort of like applies to hard dance music. One of the reasons for which I like that so much within EDM is because if you look back even to the very beginnings of hard dance music back in the late 80s, early 90s in Amsterdam and Rotterdam, people that were going to raves weren't just your stereotypical raver. They were everyone from just the average Joe off the street to respected businessmen and bankers and stuff. Like anyone from any industry is more than welcome to come, and everyone came together just for a good time, and that's what you continue to see in EDM and especially in hard dance music, which is probably why it's the fastest growing scene in all of electronic music.
Mm-hmm. So, thank you, Julien, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
Well, thank you, Julien, for helping me with Math Corners. Today, we're going to talk about... Wait a second. Sister, you're going to take over my Math Corners and show me something yourself?
Absolutely. You bet. Yeah. So, I might help if my pen didn't break on me in the middle of the broadcast. There we go. Sorry, that's a blooper to cut out. But, yeah. So this week, I'm going to show you a very quick introduction to imaginary numbers. So, what are imaginary numbers, you might be asking? Are they numbers that don't exist?
What are imaginary numbers?
Well, I'm glad you asked. They are numbers which kind of do and kind of don't exist. They're numbers which show the limitations of the mathematical system that we use in general day-to-day life, while also showing how robust and adaptable it is. So, to show you a little bit what they do and how you can use them, well, we need to first consider square numbers. So, with a square number, if you get 3 and you multiply it by itself, so 3 times 3, it is the same as saying 3 squared. That is equal to 9. Nice and simple. Now, you could do the same thing with negative numbers. So if you take minus 3 and you square it, so minus 3 times minus 3, as done above, but with positive 3, you also end up with 9. So that means that if you take 9 and you square root it, the answer can be 3 or minus 3. So people might write that as plus minus 3. Okay, so that doesn't seem too bad. No imaginary numbers yet. But we've just shown that if you multiply a positive by a positive, you end up getting a positive, and a negative by a negative also gives you a negative. Oh, sorry, positive. So we've got the square root of 9 here as being 3 or minus 3. But what happens if you want, for instance, to take the square root of minus 9? How can you do that? Because
that's hard.
It's not 3. It's not minus 3.
Yeah, it's not minus 3. It's not regular 3.
Yeah. So the way you can do it is you can pretty much split it into 2 parts. So it'd be the same as saying root minus 1 multiplied by a square root of 9, because minus 1 times 9 is minus 9. So we know that the square root of 9 is plus minus 3. Fine, okay. But then that leaves us with that negative 1 here, the square root of negative 1. So what do we do for that? This is where the imaginary numbers come in and help us out, because it's a bit of a cheat that we use, but it's a cheat that works. And if you don't think it works, know that it actually is used in calculations for airplanes. Mm-hmm. So, square root of
I've
negative
done this
1.
many times on calculators. It normally just says 0, but there's actually an answer.
Yep, that's right. This, if we call the square root of negative 1 I, which stands for imaginary, then what we get is I squared equals minus 1. Okay, that seems okay. So going back to the question we had before of the square root of -9, that means that if we say it's plus or minus 3i, then we got a winner. Because if we take that and we split it into its component parts, the 3 and the I, square root, the plus or minus 3 squared always gives us 9. Then I squared always gives us -1. So 9 times -1 equals -9. And there you go. We've solved the problem of what happens if you want to square root a negative, and we've just put imaginary numbers in there.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Julian, for your help with Math Corners.
No problem. Anytime.
See David Smith Law.com.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
Wait, you are not Chuck.
My dad can help when people get hurt. He loves to help people.
If you are ever injured at work or in a car accident, you should call my friend Chuck.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
That website again is cwsmithlaw.com.
Offices, Orlando.
Does it actually have that much W's?
And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the heart of a lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week, we're going to talk about integrity. For me, I think integrity is doing what is right, even when no one else is looking. The qualities of integrity is honesty, sincerity, truthfulness, and fairness. Well, this week, I forgot to do some homework. My best friend Cash told me that I was going to miss out on my book project since it was due the next day. But I was already past my bedtime, so I took my laptop and my charger to bed to try and finish the project, and my dad found me. He talked with me about the project, and I really did not want to tell my mom, because she would be so mad. Well, I asked my dad not to tell her. He promised that he would not tell on me. Instead, he told me that I should go and tell her myself, and right now. But it's not fun to tell on yourself. But it is being honest and truthful. My mother was disappointed in my actions, but understood why. She was happy that I had the integrity to solve my issue and be honest with her.
Yeah, it's very good. It's always better to be honest because every secret ends up coming out in the end.
Well, of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which one do you see the most?
Ooh, that's difficult because even though it's one that I think gets broken very often as well, I do think that integrity, as we're speaking of right now, is one that I do see very, very, very often, just by chance of the part of the DJ scene that I'm in, that being DJing and hard dance music, because that tends to be what a lot of DJs in that genre especially do hold quite dear, actually helping each other out and using integrity for each other, which could arguably fall under nobility as well, but yeah.
Well, we should always try and be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It's always best to keep to one's values and to do what one thinks is right at all times.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Julien RoudebushGuest for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking with you today. I think we learned a lot about what it's like to be a DJ. I hope in the future that I will be able to see one of your events live.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's been an awesome experience talking with you and getting to know you better. And yeah, definitely, I really hope to see you at one of my events at some point soon. Yeah.
Well, do you mind giving your website again?
Yeah, all of my tags that you can find online, just search at Julien Does Music. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, anything you want, pretty much, YouTube. And yeah, any follows, any likes, greatly appreciated. Hopefully this week will be week number 10 of getting number 1 in the world in various charts on Mixcloud. So yeah.
Well, also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and like, subscribe, and also ring that bell. And also, be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.